to read
your hockey romances. You're learning so much about hockey.
I went 18 years hating hockey boys, and then one freaking book, and now I'm like, maybe they're not so bad. Like, no, Kaylee, no, stop. This is gonna get me killed.
Yeah. How's it?
Your face is so funny.
The mob is gonna come for you. They're like, you read hockey fanfics. They're not even fanfics.
They are not
They
fanfics.
sound
They
like
are not
fanfics.
fanfics.
They sound like fanfics.
Mommy probably doesn't even know what a fanfic is.
No.
They're pretty close. Fanfic about just
They're not a
hockey boys.
fanfic. Fan fiction. Can we edit this
what's-
so I can explain to you what fan fiction is?
Well, you can explain to me later. Okay.
Welcome to Wait What?
I think we did it right. Oh, my turn?
Okay.
Your turn.
This is where we take common beliefs, sayings, or actions, deconstruct them, and have conversations, sharing our opinions and experiences about how they have affected us. Our goal is to start and extend conversations.
Thanks, Queen.
That's all.
Awesome. I'm Rochelle.
I'm Kaylee.
America. I'm Jillian.
And today, we are asking the question about, wait, what? What about
Difficult women.
difficult women? Yikes.
Oh my gosh, that sounds pretty intense.
I think we've all been labeled difficult women at some
Yeah.
point.
Maybe not Jillian.
Because I'm a child still.
Maybe that story we were talking about last night.
What?
Oh no, that's another story for another day.
I'm gonna have to like keep a list of all these things you have to like talk to me about after.
Anyway.
Tell me about.
Maybe someday we'll show them on the podcast.
Yeah.
Jillian wants to. It's so funny. If I know what you're talking about, I think I know.
talking about. I guess we all are difficult women.
Except I'm like still a kid.
Okay, sure.
You're the adult.
Alright, well, so this is actually the start of a 3-part series, I guess, that we're going to do.
Yeah.
This month is actually Sexual Assault Awareness Month for the month of April. And so it was really important to us to do some talk around, well, women, which we talk about a lot, but specifically then going into like sexual assault and that. And so we decided to do sort of a 3-part. So this is the first part about girls, women being difficult, trying to get attention, that kind of stuff. And so we'll go into that. And then our next one, next week, is going to be all about consent. What about consent? And then our last one, which will end April off, will be what about rape culture? And going into that. So today, I know something that was that starts like right from very little, actually, from being born, from whatever, is all about girls and getting attention. You know, how, well, I mean, you know what, like, even, you look at the clothes industry, for, like, you know, when we would buy you guys clothes, like, when you guys were all really little, and it's, like, for boys, there's, like, I mean, it's all the same, basically. There's not much difference.
I feel like most men revolve between, like, 3 lightly gray, shirts.
And girls, it's like literally like there's so much.
Yeah.
So much. And a lot of it is just like it's showy and it's fancy and it's like whatever. And I think, you know, I think it starts, but then as soon as you start getting a little bit older, it's all of a sudden there's this whole talk around what you're wearing, and you need to be careful about what you wear, and you can't, you know, now, okay, so I will say also some of this comes from a very, like, church background. So, like, that is definitely some of it. For me, because like I was never allowed to wear a bikini. I was never allowed to wear like a shirt that didn't have straps, like a tube top or anything. Oh my goodness, all I wanted to wear when I was a kid. And I wasn't allowed to wear that. And you know, like all these things that was, so I do understand like some of that is from like my more very traditional upbringing and stuff as well, which when we had you guys, that's, you know, we started there, but it wasn't just because of that either. It was also because of a narrative that we were told, and it was all surrounding that it was all like, if you were going to wear a bikini, then it was all about trying to get attention from a boy.
Yeah.
If you were going to wear whatever, it was like all of it was surrounding basically either good attention or bad attention from a boy.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that good attention and bad attention. And yeah, because I was never allowed to wear crop tops. And I'll hold that against you till I die.
None of us
Well,
were.
we
but-
were allowed just with a tank top underneath.
Like, that's
Oh my
true.
goodness.
Yeah, but I remember that, like, it was always, like, you're always looking for attention. It's just whether you're looking for good attention or bad attention. But it wasn't just, like, attention, it was attention from, like, men, from boys. Because I remember something you did when I was younger, specifically for me, because, you know, I was a bit hyper. You were like, if you want attention, just tell me. Like, just say, I want attention, and so that then I would do that. Because wanting attention is not a bad thing.
No. We
But-
all do.
Yeah. But when people assumed, oh, you want attention from boys, which was, they assumed that most of the time, that's when it was like, okay, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's all of a sudden a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and that was something that hit me later on, was that whole like attention thing that, you know, now I mean this was even before getting into like all the emotional intelligence and stuff, because with that we talk all the time about just like, why do we make so many things good or bad? Like, you know, and attention is one of those. It's like, if you want attention or need attention, it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's like, why is it bad?
Yeah, and doing something for attention.
Right.
Like, you know, whatever. And it's wanting attention is so strange because I think, like, everything I do is not for the attention of men, but I do some things for attention. Don't we all? Like, sometimes you tell a joke to get attention. Why would, like, I'm not sitting in my room telling a joke to myself.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, it's this weird thing of, like, we're trying to say that, like, you know, wanting attention isn't bad, but just assuming that all you're trying to do is get attention is also, like, so ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, and it starts right from little.
Yeah.
You know, like how you dress. Like, you know, I remember, you know, conversations that were had about, like, you know, I know you guys have talked about this, about, like, if you're going to wear a bikini, then, you know, like, this is what a guy's going to think about you.
Yes. When I was, like, 6. And now I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, if a guy was thinking about that about a 6-year-old, I would be quite alarmed.
Well, and that's the thing. And that's where, like, to me, looking at it now, I'm like, why is that put on a 6-year-old child? Why is that put on children?
Yeah.
So that's something else that we'll go into later, but, like, the whole thing of, like, underage women, we were just talking about this, like, before recording. They're not underage women. They're children. They're girls. They're young girls.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't about, like, So, anyways, but the fact that a child has to pay attention and they can't wear this, they can't wear that, like, that they already have to, like, girls are trained from children to... what are they wearing? how are they acting, like, because what you wear, how you act, that could send the wrong message.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, that's another thing that I remember being told a lot and whatever too, because, well, that's is that the message that you want to send? And it was never, like, from what I remember, it was never said, and I don't think, like, when we had talked to you guys about it either, that it wasn't said, like, is that the message you want to send to men?
Yeah.
It's always just, is that the message you want to send?
But it all goes back to men. Because, I've seen comments from women being like, oh, you know, you're just trying to get attention or whatever. But a lot of that goes back to men. Like, oh, you're trying to get attention from my husband or my boyfriend. Like, it's never, you know, and some people say it, some people don't. But it all leads back to men. It all leads back to you're trying to get attention from men, from boys, whatever you want to say.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like, you know, there's times where I just want to be like, it's not all about you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's the thing, like, we were talking before this, where it's like all of our decisions as women, all of our decisions, all of who we are, is always about men.
Yes, literally everything revolves around
Any
men.
decision we make, it's, oh, well, you're trying to do this for men. This, like, if you wear makeup, oh, you're just trying to get the attention of men.
And pushing off, you know, away from those things.
That's the thing.
Is for attention from men.
Like, we're just stuck. Always.
Yes.
We can never win. We're just in this weird state of no matter what we do, we're always losing. We're always just, like, too much, too difficult,
and
too attention-seeking.
Exactly. And that comes back, like, you know, you can't be shy because then guys won't like you, but if you're too over the top, then, well, guys will find you annoying and won't like you, or, you know, you can't dress, like, conservatively, you can't dress modestly, whatever, because then, you know, guys won't like you and you're a prude and, you know, whatever. Or one thing I think about is, like, women, like, are not allowed to have interests. Like, like, women are not allowed to like or dislike anything. Like, sports is one thing. I'm not a big sports person. None of us really are. I don't know things about sports. I never really played sports. I don't want to play sports, and I'm fine with not knowing about it. But because of that, it's like, oh, you're just basic. You're just basic and, you know, shallow and whatever. But then there are tons of girls who love sports, and it becomes, oh, you're just trying to get attention from men. Oh, so you just like sports because, you know, you want guys to like you and
You
whatever.
want to fit in with the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to be able to go hang with the guys and whatever. Like, yeah. Well, I know there's, like, so many of those paradoxes that we were, you know, like, talking about. We've talked about numerous different ones, you know, like, like you wear a short skirt and it's like, oh, well, you're just trying to get attention again from that. Like, you're just trying to whatever. But then you wear, like, a long skirt or something and it's like, well, what's up with that? Like, then you just look like, you know, so, like, I know it's different for you guys than for, say, me. Like, you know, obviously we're a little bit different ages. But, like, I find it very interesting now because it is different. Like, it's, because, like, how I almost think, like, it doesn't get easier, actually. It gets harder as a woman. The older I get, the harder it is.
Interesting.
Because it's like, now it's not just, like, if I dress however, it's like, well, if I dress too young,
Yeah.
then I'm like trying to get attention, and I'm like that way too. But then if I dress too old, then I'm not, you know, like it's like this, it's this no man's land of like that, like you said, like you can't win. Like, if I wear something that's too young and hip, then I'm like, I'm just trying to fit in with there. But like, if I wear something that, whatever, that maybe I'm just comfortable in or something, you know, like, for me, like heels. I mean, I love heels, but my body doesn't handle them at all. And for years, I would wear them. Just because I actually I loved them. I loved wearing them.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I don't, the pain is just not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
But a woman not wearing heels is looked at very differently than a woman wearing heels.
Yeah.
Like, I feel less than if I am like at a business function of like some sort of fancy function. If I'm not wearing heels or something, then I just feel less than. Now, I do know that there's a whole piece on this that, like, you know, I'm actually working on right now in myself of like, you know, what is the reason I can't just be me in that situation? So like that's something that I am working on. However, that is just the general basic, you know.
Well, and the thing is, like when you talk about that, it just gets me thinking of, like, earlier, you know, I said, like, women are not allowed to have interests, but I also think, like, this makes us, like, not able to even, like, form, like, we're not allowed to be ourselves. Like, we are not allowed to, like, form a fashion sense or form, like, a music taste, because no matter what, we are looked down upon. Like, you know, I like revealing clothing. That's what I like to wear. It makes me feel confident, and it makes me feel good. But I end up in this, like, hard situation of, well, because I know what people think. I know what, you know, the mom with her son is thinking, and I know what the guy is thinking, and I know what people think. So I have to decide between, okay, I guess I'm just gonna have to live with all of these people judging me and thinking I'm a slut, or I have to just not be myself, and I have to dress in a way that I don't want to dress, that I don't feel good in.
So can I ask a question? Because just as you were talking, so you said, like, I like wearing revealing clothing. So to me, that's a very interesting word to even use.
Yeah, no,
so
that's
true.
It is, yeah. Because that's the thing, is you realize as you, like, unpack your, like, internalized misogyny, and as you unpack these things, it's just more and more, like, like, revealing clothing. Like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't know. I literally just, like, wear what I want. Like, it's just probably not as, like, when I say, like, revealing, I just mean, like, not.
Like a crop top.
Like, crop top. Like a crop top, or, like, short shorts. And the thing is, I've always liked these things for so long, and I was never allowed to like it. Because I had to worry about other people. And, you know, now that I'm getting older and we're unpacking this stuff, I've, you know, started being like, you know what, maybe I do want to wear a bikini. Maybe I do want to wear short shorts. Maybe I, you know, whatever. But even now it's not, you know, my family holding me back. Now it's not the church holding me back. Now it's not, you know, whatever. Now it's me holding me back, because I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if I'm wearing, like, a sort of see-through shirt, but I know that other people do. And it's just frustrating that you have to, and that's what women are constantly doing. We're constantly, you know, what's the word? Like, kind of toning down ourselves. We're constantly toning down ourselves, our wants, our personalities, to make other people happy.
Well, it's really making women an object.
Yeah.
Like when you wear whatever you're gonna wear. Like, you know, the other day, for example, you had a shirt on and you were like, oh, like, but I'm not wearing a bra.
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, like, I don't know if I should, you know, do this. Like, I don't care, like, because one thing for you, and this goes back to, like, with your back, all your back problems with scoliosis and everything, and all of the problems surrounding that, I think even there's, like, I mean, just because of having to wear a brace and everything, wearing a bra for you is, like, painful. Like, it actually causes physical pain, and
and I can't breathe, and so especially when I'm working out or like doing, you know, physical activity, I don't like wearing bras. It's uncomfortable, and it's not like, listen, I don't have much. Let's just be honest. There's not much to show, so it's not like anything is actually showing. But I know that people notice, and I'll be, you know, I'll walk through a hall and I'll see a guy look at my chest first, and that is frustrating. And so that's the thing, you have to choose between yourself and I don't know, people looking at you like you're an object.
Well, yeah, because it becomes just like your boobs. Like, that's all you are to, like...
And there's not even much to freaking look at, and yet they are, and I'm like, what are you looking at? I have a boy chest.
Oh my word.
Never.
Not quite, but...
What?
Sure.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's like...
Yes.
It's like, I cannot imagine if I had more, you know, assets.
I know. More blessed in that arena.
Because it's like, no matter... Because I feel like when you have more, there's no escaping it.
No.
Obviously, I can't speak on that, but...
There isn't.
Yeah.
No, okay, when both of you were saying that, I was thinking, like, that's the struggle of being a woman, is, you know, like, you grow up, and ideally, you own yourself, and you can just, like, be you, but that's the problem. Like, people say that, and I think that's another pressure put on women, is to, well, just own yourself. Just be yourself. But it's like, yes, that's fair. I think all of us, you know, hopefully can work towards that. But we have so much against us to not.
Like, there's a price to pay.
That's the thing. There's a huge price to pay for doing that. And I think that's where I get frustrated sometimes when people talk about this. Well, you could just decide to wear that top. You could just decide, because it's like, yes, ideally, like, you could, but the fact is, you are looked at different.
Exactly.
Yes.
So if you're going out for a job and you decide to wear a low cut top, you are taking a chance that you may be turned away just for that.
And that is so upsetting, and that's the, like, frustrating thing with being a woman, is because you're forced to make a decision between yourself and possibly a job, between being respected, like, just being looked at as a person, even. Like, and you shouldn't have to make that choice, but you do.
Thing that's so interesting, I was thinking with, like, the two of us, because as you were saying, we have different sized chests. Clearly, you say you don't have much. I have a little bit more. But
I'm feeling
both of us think about that. And worry, and that's the thing that, like, I've heard some of my friends talk, who, like, because there's, like, a wide range. Every woman decides to dress differently. And some of my friends that I've talked to that decide to dress more, quote-unquote, modest, more covered up, they get the same looks.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter what you're wearing.
You literally
would get the same looks.
Yes, exactly. You would literally have to, like, disguise yourself as a man to not. And, like, I mean, that's pretty much freaking impossible to disguise yourself as a man. So, you know, but no, like, it, like, you know, I say, like, oh, if I choose to wear, you know, again, like, quote-unquote, revealing clothes or whatever, you know, I know that, like, some people's respect for me is, like, gone
Yeah.
But even when you do dress, like, modestly, a lot of people will still look at you. Like, I think, I've said this for a while, and we were talking about this earlier, about how, like, women are not, like, people, like, to the world. Like, women are never looked at as just, like, a person. We are always women. We are always a girl first, and it's so frustrating. I think that's why, like, I grew up, like, all my friends growing up were guys. And so I, had a bad case of wanting to be one of the boys. And I look back now and I'm like, I never was. Like, I never was. I tried. I would dress like a guy, and then like a guy, whatever. Not actually like a guy. But I dress like one of the boys, and then I dress, the way I wanted to. And no matter what, I was a girl. And we're never treated like just people. So it really doesn't matter how you dress. If people perceive you as a woman, you are just that.
Yep.
You're just a woman. You're just a girl.
Well, okay, and so now let's take this into sort of like another avenue of this, because we've been talking a lot about, like, clothes and how we dress and sort of that. But then we can get into how some women are looked at as so difficult because of their strength. And so that was something, like, for me, that was very looked down upon, because I would speak my mind.
Yeah.
I would say what I was thinking. I got kicked out of Sunday school when I was 12 or whatever, because the teacher told me that I was supposed to be perfect and this example for everyone else, and I said I didn't agree with that. And I was totally respectful. I just said I didn't agree. Now, obviously, I don't remember the exact words. However, I do know, like, being raised the way I was, like, I would not have been disrespectful at all. And I got kicked out. And always, like, I was difficult. I was the one that was going to say something. Like, if something needed to be said, I was saying it.
Yeah.
Like, I would... Anyways. And I'm like... But then that was... Basically, I was sort of labeled as this... I was so difficult. I was, like, too much. I was too strong. I was... I would come on too strong. Like, I literally remember in university even... being told that there were guys that liked me, but because, like, I was too strong, like, they were kind of scared.
Yeah. Which I think
And
we've
I
all
was
had that.
Okay, well, obviously they're not for me then at all.
Exactly.
Because especially, and it's interesting because, like, at that point too, that was after I had gone through the abusive relationship and I come out the other side. Although I do know, like, I had created, like, a completely false self for myself. Like, it was, like, basically I created another personality for myself and that's who I became when I went out, because I was so insecure and I didn't know who I was at all. And so, like, later on, it was so interesting to me when, or even in those times, like, I remember a guy friend of mine telling me this. And it was so interesting to me because I was absolutely petrified to be in those spaces. And I was so insecure in who I was, because I didn't even know who I was. At that point, I was dealing with the whole fallout from everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and they're scared of me? Like...
Yeah. No, I think that too. Like, at school, anytime I would hear that, I'd be like, dude, like... I'm literally almost crying just walking into the school. Like, I have such bad anxiety and you're scared of me? Like, dude, I'm scared of you.
Yeah. So much more scared. But, and then it's like, well, it's, if a woman is too much, then it's like, well, they're going to make a guy feel insecure, or
Yeah.
you know, like I remember, like, you know, guys will joke about, you know, like if a woman can beat you,
Oh.
Yeah.
you should be humiliated.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Yeah.
worst thing ever. And I'm like,
Well, you can't even, like,
So,
stand up
right
for
there.
guys either. Like, I
Yeah.
find, like, you know, you can't stand up for, like, a guy friend or, like, your brother, because then they're like, oh, you need a girl to help you? Like,
Yeah.
it's so weird. Like, we're just seen as this, like, yeah, I don't know. I know, like, Erica and I have talked about this a lot, about how, because, like, Erica and I were both, I think, very opinionated when we were younger. Like, I mean, people always would be like, you're so sassy, Kaylee. I was just sassy and I was loud, and, you know, I said whatever I thought, which I probably shouldn't have. I did insult people a lot. But,
A little far sometimes.
you know, took it a little far. But then it kind of went the other way, and, like, now that we're kind of unpacking these things and trying to grow and heal, you know, I just went, like, one day, like, where did she go? Because, like, I was telling people the blunt truth all the time. I had an opinion on everything, and now I can barely tell someone, like, I can barely say no to someone. I can barely tell someone, you know, like, anything. Like, and I am an opinionated person, but I now have trouble, like, sharing it because I'm so scared, especially with guys. I'm worried. There was this, like, fling guy I was talking to? I don't even know what to call it. There was this guy I was talking to. He was a jerk, you know, like they all are. Just kidding. That was just a joke. And he was doing some things that I was really frustrated with. And I was like, I'm just gonna tell him. I should just tell him. Like, I should just be like, hey, when you do this, it's really upsetting, and I'd appreciate it if you could, like, work on it. Which is what mature people should be able to do. Anyways, but I went, I can't say that, because then I'm the crazy girl who's making trouble where, you know, trouble doesn't need to be, and I'm so needy and opinionated and annoying, and then I would just be that girl. That girl that asks for too much. That girl that's just annoying and, you know, whatever, and it really makes you realize, like, wow, like, you know, I feel like misogyny and this world really takes a piece out of women. Like, it really just chips away, it chips away at you. And,
well, and the thing with that is that, and this is about women, however, what, you know, men don't realize is it actually chips away at them as well. Like, like, they don't understand that misogyny actually doesn't help them.
exactly,
like, it doesn't actually help anyone. Everyone loses.
Yeah.
Because when women can't be themselves, then guys can't be themselves. Like, and it's this back and forth, and it's like, it makes, like, if women can't be strong in who they are, then obviously men can't be either, and it makes everyone actually weaker, because there becomes this, in men, there ends up being this false sense of power and this false sense of strength then.
Yes.
Which everyone loses then.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, it's not like it's not like it's really a good thing for anyone.
Yeah.
And I see that more now, like, especially, you know, I guess as a mom, looking at, you know, my daughters and my son and going like everyone loses in this situation. Now, I mean, we can say, like, women would lose more, and we have, and I'm not, you know, like, I'm not saying I'm not giving a percentage, I'm not saying, like, we don't, like, but what you know, we need to realize that, like, everyone's losing here.
Yeah.
Like, when we don't allow people to be who they actually are, created to be, meant to be, want to be, need to be for them, like, everyone loses. No, like, you know, there's a, you know, saying, like, iron sharpens iron. Like, when you I mean, okay, we'll go to sports.
Okay. Hockey?
So, well, probably. I never played hockey. Although I do have a number of girlfriends that did play hockey, actually, and their daughters play hockey, and
That's pretty fun.
anyways, it's amazing to me. Actually, I probably would have played hockey, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was asked to play hockey,
Of course
actually, when
you
I
were.
was really young. I was figure skating, and they wanted me to play hockey, but
The star.
I did love the figure skating, so
Superstar.
I ended up keeping with that.
Mhm.
But now I look back and I go, oh my goodness, why didn't I play hockey?
Girl, you should have played
Why did I
hockey!
not? So, anyways,
Ugh.
okay, so going with my analogy here. When you're in sports, and anyone who plays sports will totally understand this and get this, but when your team, whatever, when you're playing another team, you play basically to that level. So if you're playing like an easy team,
Mm-hmm.
and it's generally very often, not all the time, but very often, you will play down.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't play as good necessarily. When you play a better team, you will play up to that level. You will play better. Even if you don't even win, it doesn't really, but you will play better.
Yeah.
So like that's sort of like the analogy in my head that I look at in this world. I'm like, if we would actually allow everyone, this case we're talking about women, actually just be women and be who they are, like men could be better, women could be better. It wouldn't have to be this whole competition of a woman won out. What do you mean a woman beat me? Like a man beat me? Like, no, it's like, who's the better person for that situation, for that position, for that whatever, instead of this, and then it being an insult if it's one or the other or something. Like, like we can work together. Like that's the best way to have the best in this world and to be the best that we can be, is when we actually can just put those things aside and that we can make each other all better.
And
people.
I think it's, like, I do think it's really important to, like, showcase all the complexities of misogyny, because misogyny runs so deep that it does affect us all. I think it affects women a lot more than it affects men. And I also think it's important to really, really be clear on that, like, these men's issues are because we hate women. But I just feel like it's interesting, because I sometimes feel like we have to say these things to convince men to care. We have to say, hey, your life sucks because of this too, to get them to care. And I think that's what makes a lot of men who start to unpack their misogyny, that's what makes them do it, is because they go, oh, well, I don't like this, and how it affects me. So now I'll help, which is, it's frustrating. I think, I guess if it gets people to help, but I just want to, like, say that I think I've noticed that sometimes we're trying to, like, convince men that, like, you should fight for us, because, like, they're not really fighting for us. They're fighting for themselves.
Well, that was something that, when we were talking before too, that we said, like, unfortunately, women can fight and stand up and speak up and such, but it's really only going to change when men change it. We can have an impact, yes.
I think women get the ball, like, women, we are the movement, but who's in power?
Right.
Who created, the oppression of women? Men did. And so, until we have men, until we have that position of power, then we're just difficult women. I guess.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to talk about this, was just to start the conversation. And that's really what our whole podcast is all about, is just starting these conversations, you know? Like, another thing that, you know, one of those paradoxes that we've talked about is, you know, like, when a guy makes a mistake or, you know, whatever, it's like, oh, it's kind of funny. Now, I totally get, like, you know, and we're gonna do a podcast on this about not all men, because that's a whole subject to itself. But, you know, like, I get, but generally, if a guy does something that ends up a bad decision, a wrong move, something dumb, whatever, you know, that's one thing. But, you know, again, a woman or a girl does it, and it's like, oh, she's such an airhead. Oh, she's so, like, you know, oh, she's blonde. Is she blonde? Like, because of that. And, you know, again, it's just those things that just aren't equal, I guess. It's not an equal playing field.
I mean, what did you say earlier about that? About, like, women being...
Well, yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Like, with that, with, like, you know, men make a mistake and it's, like, funny or it's...
endearing.
Whatever. Women make a mistake, like, you know, if I were to get in an accident or if I were to do something like that, it wouldn't just be, oh, Erica is a bad driver, Erica got in an accident, it's women are bad drivers, right? Like, we as women come into the world with the weight of women on our shoulders.
Yeah.
Every decision that we make, how we reflect ourselves in the world, how whatever, is reflective of all women.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, there's a lot of pressure on us to, like, I remember being in high school to, like, be smart because, you know, like, you want to show that women can be smart. But then again, with the paradoxes, you can't be too smart because then you're trying to show up men. Or you have to stand up for things and be opinionated because otherwise you're just, like, a nothing woman.
You're just a boring woman.
Yeah, which is what a lot of women, like, men expect of women a lot. But then you can't be too opinionated because otherwise you're difficult or bossy or all these things. Like,
it's like women are not allowed any individuality.
No.
Like, you know, like, I think of it as, like, because some things are, like, endearing. You know, so, like, I'm really bad at parking. Like, I don't know
Really
why.
bad.
I think it's just in my blood. I just, like, can't
Where
park.
did it come from then?
Spatial
In your
awareness. Because I'm
I
pretty
don't
good,
know.
actually.
Whatever. Somewhere in the line, someone was a bad parker.
Okay.
I can't park.
Yeah.
If a guy can't park, it becomes this funny joke, and it's, like, endearing, and it's, like, oh, like, a cute quirk of his. But, like, you know, women can't park, and then or I can't park, and then it's women can't park. And it's, you know, and so these things, because I feel like these things make up a person. All of those little quirks, all of those little things that seem insignificant, like someone not being a good driver, someone, you know, having a really weird fascination with, like, 80s rock music, someone, you know, absolutely loving freaking, I was trying to think of a sport, but a sport, you know, like... Hockey! It's like, those little things make up a bigger person, and women aren't allowed to have those things, and so then all we are to men, not just to men, all we are to the world, but specifically to men, is, like, just shallow and just nothing and empty. And I have literally heard guys say, like, do women even have hobbies? Do women even have interests? No, we just sit around and do nothing all the time.
Bake and clean.
Oh, my favorite thing to do.
All, like, 3 billion of us.
Yeah, all of us. All of us actually can
Billion,
only bake.
however many.
But baking's a hobby, so I guess we should...
Out of the 3 million billion, you just.
I guess I'm the only one that
3
doesn't
billion
beg.
minus 1.
but you know, like women are just like any person. Women are complex, interesting people. But because you're not allowed to have these little quirks and these little things that make you who you are, that make you an individual person, we are seen as airheads, as nothing, as just these idiots, because we can't show it. It's like they're like, you're so boring. Do you even have any hobbies? But then we do, and then it's like, okay, like, chill out. Like, maybe just have some babies. But you know what? There are a lot of guys that are really freaking boring. I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Like, all some guys do is play video games. Yeah, play video games. And maybe play hockey. So, like, it's just like...
Like a little target.
I was gonna say another sport.
But you know what I mean? Like
well, yeah, what's so exciting about that?
Right? Anyway, I just want to make a comment about how, listen, this is a bit off topic, but I just think it's funny because I always think about it, how we make fun of, like, you know, like something like shopping is, like, you know, a female dominated interest, I guess. And we make fun of those things so hard. Like, we make fun of things like that so hard, like shopping or whatever. Fantasy football? That's not a little bit stupid. Like, no offense, if you like it, super glad. But don't make fun of me for liking shopping when you're pretending to be on a football team? Shut up. You have no room to say anything about women's interests if you do that. I digress. Someone take it away. I had to get it out of my system.
That's amazing. Okay. Well, I was like thinking of something. Now it's just gone.
I know, because it's such a good point.
It is.
It's such a good point that you were stumped.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, and that's I mean, really, it's just the conversation that we want to have is just that, like, you know, again, it goes to, I mean, I think almost like every episode we always can get to, let's just accept.
Yeah. Every week we say this.
We do, like, and it always comes to me, and it's like, oh my goodness, but it just fits every single time.
Yeah, it does.
It's like, let's just accept, and then we can try and understand. But like let's just accept, you know? And I mean, there's more that we're going to get into with specifics, but okay, so some of the things that we want people to take away from this specific one, you know, like I know you had said before was just about like unpacking your stuff. That was like, do you want to talk about that? Like just...
Oh, yeah. Well, because I think, like, a big part of this is, like, we need to give women the space to be a person. Mm-hmm. Like, we cannot keep tearing down women for every little thing we do. Mm-hmm. And the thing that we really have to face, and it's hard to face. It's really hard to face, but it's not just men that have misogyny to unpack. It's women too. Mm-hmm. And every day I find myself unpacking things that were stuck in me from a young age. Mm-hmm. And I still to this day sometimes have thoughts about women that I go, wait, that's not what I believe. And it's like, because it's so ingrained in our society and it's so ingrained in us, and there is no liberation, there is no safety for women in this world until we start to unpack these things. And like, I just think that's what we have to do, and to, you know, start questioning ourselves. And then we can start questioning other people too, but...
Well, and that's the thing, and that can be kind of a scary process.
Totally.
You know, but it's not a good or bad thing, like this right or wrong. Like, it's like, it just is. Like, when I have a thought, it's not good or bad, right or wrong, necessarily. I get there are some, I'm not talking about those, but, like, you know, but just looking at it for what it is. It just is.
Yeah.
You know? Like, when I look at when I see a woman that is wearing, like, can wear a skirt and has, like, you know, is totally fit and wearing heels and whatever, and if a thought comes into my head of, like, oh, well, like, who's she trying to get attention from, or whatever, like, I don't know, I mean, there's so many different things, or whatever it is, like, you know, it doesn't really matter, but not looking at it, because I think we do one of two things. One, we'll just, like, sit there and judge.
Yeah.
And because it just superficially, but makes ourselves feel better.
Yeah.
Because if I can just judge that person, then I don't actually have to look at myself for when I'm wearing, like, a sweatshirt and, you know, sweatpants and whatever.
Totally.
Or the other side of it is that we could just go, wait, what am I thinking right now? Wait, what? Exactly.
No, yeah.
And, okay, so what about this?
Yeah, I usually just go, okay, what was that? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't believe that. So why did I think that? And then I'll usually give, like, a compliment or something. Like, flip it on its head and go, you know, if you go, oh, clearly trying to get attention, just go, wow, I wish that I had the confidence to dress like that. I wish I had the confidence to just dress the way I want to. I wish, you know, whatever. Wow, she looks really good. Like, just, it's, you know, like, it's not, like, you're not a bad person because you have a misogynistic thought. It's what you do with that thought. Like, if you go and tear down and, you know, talk behind someone's back, that's not great. You probably shouldn't do that. Yeah. But it's not bad if you have the thought.
Right. But
let's unpack it. Like, why are you having that thought? Yeah. And I think that's the only way we can move forward, is if we all take responsibility. Take responsibility for ourselves.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that can go into, like, every area of life, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just this racism.
Yeah, totally.
You know? Like, we all are.
Yeah.
Because it's the system we've grown up in.
Yeah.
So when you have a thought, instead of sitting there and judging, like, just go, oh, wait a minute. What was that?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? And maybe you don't have, like, 20 minutes to sit there and unpack it all.
Yeah.
But at least even just acknowledge it.
Even
go,
yes.
Oh,
or, because I find a lot of people, too, will be so, like, embarrassed. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible person. So then they just block it out. And it's like, no! How about you just go, wow, that was really sexist. I don't know why I thought that. That's not who I am. And I'm, you know, and I'm gonna work on it.
Yeah.
And then
like, if you acknowledge it, then you can actually flip it. You can decide then, do I actually believe this?
And
or
you know
not?
It slowly becomes natural. Then you slowly stop having those thoughts as much.
Yeah, totally.
You start,
because when you suppress them, when you push them down, when you go into shame of, like, oh my goodness, I'm such a bad person, this is terrible, I should never have thought that, like, okay, well, you know, if you're thinking that, then you probably need to unpack that as to where that came from, that you become a bad person because of a thought that you had. However, like, when you can just acknowledge and just accept, then you can actually take a look and go, no, I don't believe it. And it doesn't have to be, like, hours long of unpacking. Just, oh, no, I actually don't believe that. And then you can just, you know, you can work through those different things. And then maybe at a later time, you know, you can kind of go, oh, okay, so where did that come from? What's the story there?
Yeah.
And think about those things. So, so that's one of the things that we wanted just to, you know, for people to take away. Just to be able to, like, and have those conversations. Like, obviously find someone who's safe. Like, we have those conversations. Yeah. You know, like, I don't go have these conversations with, like, every person I come in contact with.
Yeah.
Like, it, you know, like, we will have those conversations because it's a safe space that we can say some of those things that just come to our minds, and then we can talk about that and unpack those and work through them and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and I was just gonna say quick, since we're like ending off here, also to women, that I just hope that this isn't just another, like, pressure to own yourself. Because I just, like, I really hate that, like, especially women will put on women, well, you need to own yourself. You need to, like...
You need to be confident.
You better be confident.
Right.
And it's like, yes, but that's not my responsibility to tell it to anyone else. And also, I as a woman, understand the pressure not... Like, the complicated situation that it is to be a woman,
like,
where you end up not.
Like, if you don't want to take on the entirety of the freaking male species for wearing a, booby shirt, I respect that.
I respect
Because it is really scary. It's really scary to go out in this world, and do something that you're like, yeah, I know that this is risky.
Yep.
So if you're like, I don't want to do that, then
Well,
don't, girl. I respect you. Like,
well, I know one of the things that I've really, to be able to give myself grace sometimes is what is serving me.
yeah.
And sometimes it serves me to own my stuff in that moment and to stand up and to say something. Sometimes it serves me to be quiet and have to sit back. And it's what is serving you. That's the question. And every person can only answer that for themselves. That's it. Yeah. So with this, going back to kind of the beginning where we started about, like, getting attention and, all of that, that actually is going to lead right into our next episode, which is going to be all about, what about consent? And we have some pretty awesome stuff already that we've been talking about that we want to talk about, and more about that. Even I'm probably going to bring into the new Alberta curriculum we talked about. So, but yeah, just some things about, consent is going to be the next part that we're going to go into. And
we'll have some good information, good, just discussion on what we've been taught with consent and how we think it should change and progress, and
exactly
the importance of consent, really.
Yeah, and what it really is and what it really should be. Yeah. Because right now it's kind of all put on women. Again.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that. So, anyways, okay, so I think that wraps us up for today, though. And social media.
Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and Twitter and on YouTube and, like, Spotify and streaming platforms. So,
What is it, girl?
Oh, the official WWP.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, see you next week on Wait,
what?